Tonight on NewsWatch Ole Miss, as fighting continues, Russian and Ukrainian officials met today in an attempt to find a peaceful solution. The latest on the Ukraine crisis is coming up.
After an official announcement today, it looks like Athletic Director Keith Carter sticking around. We'll take a look at the details of his new contract.
And as Black History Month comes to a close, we'll have another look at Black history here on the Ole Miss campus. NewsWatch Ole Miss starts now.
Good evening and welcome to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Emily Cochran.
And I'm Hannah Baker. We start off in sports news today. Ole Miss announced an extension for Athletic Director Keith Carter this afternoon. Sports reporter Ruby Dreyer is live in the studio with us to take a look at the new contract. Ruby?
The university announced on Monday that homegrown Athletic Director Keith Carter would be staying in Oxford. His new contract extends through 2025, and Carter will be set to make $1.1 million annually. Carter took over as the full-time Ole Miss athletic director position in fall of 2019. His first action as the full-time director was the firing of Matt Luke and the hiring of current Ole Miss football head coach Lane Kiffin. Most recently, Keith Carter announced the launch of the massive $350 million campaign to renovate multiple athletic facilities at Ole Miss, including the Manning Center and Vaught Hemingway Stadium. Carter also played basketball at Ole Miss from 1995 to 1999 and has worked at the university prior to his naming of athletic director.
Thanks, Ruby. Now we take you to the Ukraine, where the fighting continues, but efforts to find a peaceful solution are ramping back up. CNN's Emily Schmidt has the latest developments from Ukraine.
It took this Ukrainian disaster to spark a world diplomacy not seen for 40 years.
The fighting in Ukraine must stop.
The UN General Assembly held an emergency meeting for the first time since 1982, condemning Russia's attacks and supporting Ukraine's sovereignty, calling for peace.
For the first time since the United Nations was born, there is a full-fledged war in the center of Europe.
War images emerged from all over the country. Attacks that appeared to be on a section of Kharkiv. Outside Kyiv, signs of losses for Russia. Ukrainians fighting, inspired by their president's rallying call.
He is our president, he is our leader, he is leader of the armed forces of Ukraine.
More fallout. Moscow's stock exchange closed Monday when economic sanctions caused the ruble to lose nearly a third of its value. Russia closed its airspace to airlines from 36 countries, and Ukraine and Russia held talks in Belarus amid fears troops from Belarus could support Russia. So much remarkable movement, including this. The UN now estimates more than 500,000 people have fled Ukraine, seeking safety, with their homeland very much still in danger. I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
Yesterday, Russian President Vladimir Putin put nuclear weapons on high alert, but a U.S. official said the United States has not seen anything specific since that announcement.
Today, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is demanding the European Union to grant Ukraine immediate membership. Zelensky officially signed a membership application today and urged the EU to admit his country using a new procedure, citing a goal for Ukrainians to be equal with all Europeans. This is the second allied group that Zelensky has attempted to bring Ukraine into in recent weeks. He has also pleaded with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, to grant Ukraine membership.
Across the world, people are voicing their support for Ukraine, and last night it happened just up the road in Memphis. Mighty Lights, which lights up the Hernando de Soto Bridge and Big River across over the Mississippi River in Memphis, lit both bridges blue and yellow to resemble the Ukrainian flag last night. The display of support will be visible again tonight every half hour from sundown until 10:30.
In health news, the Mississippi Department of Health announced on Twitter that drug overdose deaths in Mississippi has risen by 49% in just 1 year, from 2019 to 2020. This is double the increase nationally, which was largely driven by the highly potent synthetic opioid fentanyl. Overdose deaths linked to fentanyl have more than doubled in just a year. The Department of Health also says if you or a loved one uses opioids, keep naloxone near and know how to use it, as it is a critical lifesaver in case of an overdose.
Some students spent their Saturday dancing and not at Funky's. NewsWatch reporter Phoebe Kramer has the details. Phoebe?
That's right, Emily. This Saturday was the annual Rebelthon Dance Marathon, and I had the opportunity to take it all in. And this year's event shattered expectations.
Every year, Rebelthon raises thousands of dollars for Children's of Mississippi, the only children's hospital in the state. But it doesn't all happen in a night. According to fundraising committee member Cam Hull, fundraising is a year-long grind.
So we got in contact with a lot of the local businesses. I was in charge of some like Oxford Nutrition and a lot of the ones that are known, just to get donations in order to have incentives for people as well as more money for the kids.
Students participate in themed dance hours like disco and ballroom dance. Morale captain John Douglas says his favorite part is the morale dance.
The morale dance is a dance that is done at the top of every hour, and all the Rebelthon community comes together and we all unison do this dance that the participants don't really know at the first hour, but by the 12th hour, the morale captains, one of me specifically, we all dance that exact choreography and everyone follows along, and by the 12th hour everyone knows exactly what to do.
This year the event raised $227,148.08, breaking their $200,000 goal.
Another successful Rebelthon is in the books. Could next year top it? We'll have to see. Back to you, Hannah.
The Overby Center announced their full spring schedule today, including 4 programs that will highlight activities for Southern journalism and politics. The intersection of critical race theory and Mississippi civil rights education is first up, set for March 9th. The crisis communication, Afghanistan and beyond is scheduled for March 28th. 75 years of Mississippi high school journalism on March 29th. And lastly, the separate and sometimes equal photos from Possumtown will cap off the spring series on April 11th. All 4 programs will start at 5:30 p.m. and are followed by a reception and open bar.
The state auditor's office is providing a new opportunity for Mississippi's accounting majors. The new Stay in the SIP Fellowship pays for college tuition, books, and fees of accounting students for up to 3 years, and in return, students agree to work at the Office of the State Auditor for at least 2 years after graduation. All accounting students attending Mississippi colleges and universities can apply for the fellowship, which includes a paid internship as well. As access to health insurance and other workplace benefits to qualify, graduate students must have completed at least 58 college credit hours toward a degree in accounting, while graduate students must be in a Master's of Accountancy program. All students must maintain a 3.0 GPA to apply and participate in the program.
It's the time of year where Oxford honors local businesses by nominating them for the Best of Oxford competition. Each year, thousands of votes are cast as citizens weigh in on their favorite businesses and places. The nomination phase began Saturday and is open until March 20th, when the top 5 nominees will move to the voting phase, which begins on April 13th and will go through May 3rd. The winners of the contest will be announced to the public in July or August in the Oxford Magazine and online.
Alumni will be returning to town this upcoming weekend in a special celebration. The Black Alumni Reunion is back and begins this upcoming Thursday, March 3rd. Throughout the weekend, alumni will be networking and giving talks. NewsWatch will be covering the action along with the Daily Mississippian, so stay tuned next week for more coverage. You can find the full calendar of events on OleMissAlumni.com.
And today is the last day of Black History Month. NewsWatch reporter Olivia Wright has the second part of our series on Black history at the university coming up. But first, here's a look at your current conditions.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere will bring us wireless emergency alerts. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
flyers? Where'd you find those?
It's not your birthday.
Sorry.
Bye, Grandpa.
Bye, Grandpa.
Take care of yourself.
What are you doing? What are you looking for?
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the moment I knew his future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
What? My. Oh.
Times during class, and I tell her to talk to him, and it's like, oh, ew.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's all good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should.
Whatever gets you talking.
Reach out to a friend about their mental health.
Whatever gets you talking.
Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
On the last day of Black History Month, we're continuing our look into the Black History tours on the Ole Miss campus. NewsWatch reporter Olivia Wright joins us now with a closer look. Olivia?
Last week, I sat down with Don Gilroy to discuss the history of African Americans on campus. Today, I'm bringing you more of that interview because Black history on our campus is far too complex to cover in just one segment. Black history and the struggles for equality that African Americans have faced right here on our campus spans more than a century, and clashes over race haven't always been peaceful. That violence reached its peak on that infamous night when both the Oxford community and students protested James Meredith's admittance to the university as the first African American student.
I think there was a car that was burned, a couple of people got killed, but what was really remarkable is that people climbed to the tops of the buildings and took their rifles, their pistols, and actually shot at the building to show their disapproval of the university becoming integrated. The bullet hole that was over the front door wasn't brought back up until renovations were done in 1987.
Racial controversy didn't end with Meredith. Protests came to campus again in 2008 over the Senator Barack Obama's trip to Ole Miss for his presidential debate against Senator John McCain at the Ford Center. It ended with a protest around the Confederate statue.
But in 2008, in 1962, as well as other times, there were a lot of people that would go and rally around that statue, one, to protest integration, to protest individuals from speaking at the campus. In fact, there were a good number of people who, kind of like the people showed up in spring of 2019, that showed up to rally around the statue to show their disapproval of then Senator Obama running for president because they didn't believe that he was racially adequate to run for office.
Despite the university's rocky past when it comes to slavery and racial segregation, Guillory believes that a new generation of justice-seeking students can usher progress while still respecting the past in the Oxford community.
I mean, there's so many stories to tell here that, in all honesty, are at risk of being lost.
Guillory is still guiding the slavery tours to help keep the history alive. You can schedule your tour on the Mississippi Slavery Research Group website. Olivia Wright, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
In national news, President Biden will give his first State of the Union address tomorrow night. And there is no question that the Ukraine-Russia conflict will be the main topic of the evening. The president is expected to highlight steps he's taken to fight back against the Russian invasion and the united response we have seen from the West. President Biden will also be expected to address the American people on challenges we face right here at home, starting with inflation. The president heads into tomorrow night with his approval rating at 37%, the lowest point of his presidency so far. He will begin his remarks at 8 p.m.
Amid fears of nuclear war with Russia, North Korea released missile launch yesterday with cause for concern. However, today the government released these photos and claims the launch was just a test for developing a reconnaissance satellite. Their state media released 2 photos showing the Korean peninsula seen from space. The media added that the test was to confirm the working accuracy of their photographing and data transmission systems and to see if the photographing can be loaded on the reconnaissance satellite.
The UN climate report released today says the impact of climate change is now severe and widespread. This report, written by 270 researchers from 67 countries, says that dangers such as widespread droughts and rising seas are just the beginning as our planet continues to warm. Both nature and humanity could be too overwhelmed to adapt unless greenhouse gases emissions are quickly reduced. Global temperatures have already increased by 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the 19th century due to the pumping of heat-trapping gases in the atmosphere from burning coal, oil, and gas and cutting down forests. This report from the body of experts convened by the United Nations is the most detailed look at the threats posed by global warming to date.
Turning now to our coronavirus coverage, the University of Mississippi has just 4 active confirmed cases on campus today. Across Mississippi, the State Department of Health's numbers of cases from this weekend was just 884 new cases for a daily average of almost 295 cases.
2 new studies claim to provide definitive evidence that COVID-19 started in a wet market in Wuhan, China. According to the research posted online Saturday, the coronavirus did have its origin in a live mammal at the market in 2019. But instead of a bat, as we previously thought, the animal was more likely a raccoon, small dog, or similar-sized animal. This study joins a growing body of research that supports an animal-related origin for the pandemic. Neither article, however, has yet to be published in a peer-reviewed medical journal.
Many Amazon warehouse workers are able to go to work mask-free starting tomorrow. The company issued a statement today saying warehouse workers will not have to wear facial coverings in states where there is not a mandate. This applies to all whether you're vaccinated or not. The change will go into effect tomorrow, and other retailers, including Target, are taking similar actions.
Speaking of Target, in hopes to attract and retain staff, Target has raised its minimum wage to $24 an hour, a move that will cost the retail chain at least $30 million in investments towards pay and benefits for its employees. The change will apply to hourly workers at Target stores, supply chain facilities, and those at the corporate headquarters in Minnesota. Starting in April, store associates who work at least 25 hours a week are eligible to enroll in a Target medical plan. The previous plan required that employees work at least 30 hours a week to receive benefits. So roughly 20% of staff are newly able to receive Target's health care benefits.
Coming up in sports, the Bats have been smoking in Swayze lately, and the Rebel baseball team is hoping to stay hot later this week. And Coach Yo and the women's basketball team fell to the top-ranked team in the country yesterday. Find out what this means for the Rebels up next in sports.
On October 15, 2017, 2 words changed the course of history. The words we wrote that day are a part of a longer and even more powerful history.
The wounds become scars.
Things are changing.
We really need everyone's voices.
Today, we all have a chance to write another chapter, powered by everyday activism as simple as joining a march or reading a book, written to a permanent archive on a public blockchain.
Because it takes a sea of us coming forward to demand change.
Because no matter who you are, you can act too. The end of sexual violence begins with this next act.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Ole Miss baseball dominated in their two-game series this weekend after scheduled Game 2 on Saturday was rained out. On Friday night, Derek Diamond earned the start, going for 5 innings and only giving up 2 unearned runs. Offensively, the Rebs capitalized on the Rams' 5 errors on the day, headlined by Peyton Chatagnier leading the team with 3 RBIs apiece. Kevin Graham also added his 3rd home run in as many games. Ole Miss walked away with a 10-4 win over VCU in Game 1. In Game 2, the Rams jumped ahead early to a 3-0 lead thanks to multiple Ole Miss errors on defense. VCU didn't stay there for long after Ole Miss took the lead and scoring at least 1 run in the first 5 innings. The Rebels showed no mercy after scoring 12 runs by the 5th inning. Tim Elko added a home run of his own to put this game out of reach for the Rams. In the 7th inning, 6'4", 310-pound defensive tackle turned baseball player took the plate. Malone then hit a no-doubter into a walk-off home run. Ole Miss won the game easily, improving to 6-0 on the season. In basketball news, Ole Miss hosted #1 ranked South Carolina at home to cap off a historic season. The Rebels came up short to the Gamecocks, falling at home 71-57. Ole Miss was able to keep it close before South Carolina found a 4th-quarter surge to put the game away. Senior Shakira Austin recorded her 9th 20-point game of the season and added 7 rebounds. LaShonda Monk also had a stellar game with 16 points of her own. The Rebels finished the regular season yesterday and clinched the #4 spot for the SEC tournament. They will wait to find out their opponent with double bye games. Ole Miss will face the winner of Game 4 on Friday, March 4th at around 2:25 p.m. Central Time. Staying on the hardwood, Ole Miss men's basketball dropped the home contest against Texas A&M 76-66. With this loss, the Rebels fell to 4-12 in the SEC. Matthew Morrell led the Rebels in scoring with 20 points on the day, with Ty Fagan scoring 10 points with a career-high 8 assists. The Rebels cut the deficit at the end, but Texas A&M was able to hold on to the win. Ole Miss will head to Lexington, Kentucky for their final road game of the season to take on the #6 Kentucky Wildcats on Tuesday night. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. Now for some action on the gridiron. Former Ole Miss quarterback Matt Corral will reportedly not throw at the NFL Scouting Combine that will start today. Corral suffered a high ankle sprain in his final game in a Rebel uniform to set him on a 6 to 8 week recovery timeline. Matt Corral isn't the only top prospect who won't work out, with cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. not working out at the NFL Combine as well. These players have chosen to take part in the interviews and medical exams, but won't participate with the on-field workouts. Corral will participate in Ole Miss's Pro Day on March 24th inside the Manning Center. In the NBA, John Morant and the Memphis Grizzlies are set to take on the San Antonio Spurs today at 7 p.m. Central Time. The Spurs will travel to FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee, looking to notch their first win against Memphis this season. The Grizzlies have gone 6-4 against division opponents and will look to improve that against the Spurs tonight. The Spurs are 14-20 against their conference opponents. Morant is coming off of a 46-point game over the Chicago Bulls over the weekend and has continued his dominance over everyone this season. This is the third time this season that these two teams have met, with the Grizzlies walking away with the win in the last matchup. Memphis has had a special year and will be looking for another divisional win tonight to make their run for a second consecutive playoff spot. And that's all I've got for sports. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at rebel_watch for the latest sports updates.
Thanks, Ruby. The last couple of years have been tough on businesses across the world, but One Cat Cafe is determined to keep its doors open no matter what. Find out what challenges it is facing coming up next on NewsWatch.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Since Russians invaded Ukraine last week, people across the world have been praising the people for their bravery. Apparently their cats are no exception, or that's what the owners of this cat cafe in Lviv say.
The owners say they have no plans to leave Ukraine, and neighbor to 20 cats they populate their cafe. While fighting breaks out across the country, it's just business as usual for the cats. The owners said love of country and their pets is why they can't leave Ukraine.
That's all for tonight. For NewsWatch Ole Miss, I'm Hannah Baker.
And I'm Emily Cochran. Make sure to follow us on social media at NewsWatch Ole Miss for the latest updates on Ole Miss and beyond.
Thank you and good night.